Running here. Hello, podcast. We got you all set up here, and we are live here on all links, everybody, on this 17th day of August 2021. We are, as of Thursday, we will be 3 weeks from Dallas playing the Tampa Bay Bucks in week 1 of the NFL. We will be 2 weeks from the college football season. One particular game, everybody, the Minnesota Beavers and the Ohio State Buckeyes. That's a Thursday game. We've got Miami taking on Alabama. But the biggest game of the year, of the week, will be in the college game. Will be the Clemson and Georgia will be playing. I got a little amendment to that, guys. I'm going to talk about the my college football playoff and my winner to win the national championship today. Okay, going to go in my week 1 grades of NFL quarterbacks. Ron Rivera's story there. I want to talk about the Tim Tebow and the power of networking and how jobs are gotten, whether it's a football job or meeting somebody, a significant other or whatnot. We'll talk about that with the Tim Tebow job. But first, Saturday, quick story before I get started. I'm going to the furniture store. I'm wanting to get replacements for my couch cushions. And I got this leather couch. I've had it about 6 years, folks. And I was wanting to get some more cushions for it. I go to the place that I bought this couch at. There a few minutes early. It was about 10 minutes before 10 a.m. on Saturday morning. So I'm waiting out in the parking lot. There's a guy beside me, and he gets out of his car. We're both killing time before the furniture store opened. And he looks at the sports scope tag. He looks at the magnet, and he asked me about it, rolled my window down, and we started talking about the Titans and local football. We started talking about the NFL, so I shut the door. I get out, and we are just, like two kids talking about a new toy that they want for Christmas that's coming out, and it's 2.5, 3 weeks from Christmas. Remember when you're 5, 6, 7 years old, 8 years old, when you count down the time to Christmas. These are 2 adult men. Me being 40, this guy's probably 55 years old. We are so excited to talk about the NFL. We look like 2 kids. And so then the furniture store opens, right? We're still out in the parking lot talking about the Cleveland Browns and the Tennessee Titans. And the 2 women that opened up the store said, "Sir, y'all going to come in? You guys look like you're in a good mood." And we said, "Well, that's what football does." And it's the bonding of sports. For some people, that's what's really, particularly about this game of the NFL, And, Pickles, I was talking to this guy. We were so excited. It's like a holiday. We're counting down the days, talking about odds to win the Super Bowl. And he's going over the Browns roster and telling me opinions of local radio people. And I'm telling them that a lot of those people are full of crap, and some of them may know what they're talking about, and looking up odds. And, we got so distracted that we almost lost track of what we were there for. And it was really funny. But that's just the beauty of it. And I don't know. It's a good moment. It put me in a good mood. And it really made my weekend talking about Labor Day. coming up and everything. And for me, I mean, I tell people this all the time. When I was 5, 6, 7, 8, I mean, I used to count down time to Christmas. But as an adult, I mean, this is our holiday, Pickles. This is for a lot of men in this part of the country, and sometimes women in some cases. College and professional football has gotten so big. Gambling's gotten so big. Jay-Z's looking to buy a sports book now. The Arizona Cardinals are going to get a sports book put into their stadium, Pickles. It's huge. It's so big here in the United States. My opinion, the NFL particularly is bigger in the United States than the soccer is around the world. The most valuable franchise, they're going to be on Hard Knocks tonight at 9 p.m. Central Time. Right now, I've got it recorded, but they're the most valuable sports franchise in the world, the Dallas Cowboys. It's not the Barcelona Spain soccer team. It's not Madrid. It's the Dallas Cowboys, Pickles. But I want to say this about these quarterbacks. I said this about the quarterbacks, everybody, and I said it about the quarterbacks in April, and I want to still stand by that, is ideally, if other than Trevor Lawrence, all of these quarterbacks in an ideal situation should sit for a year. Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, all these guys don't have 2 full seasons of starts. Trevor Lawrence played most of his freshman year, won a national championship. Then he played all his sophomore and all his junior year. But coming into this season, those 2 guys, or that's the only guy that probably should play start-wise. But the rest of the guys ideally should sit for a year. We saw what it did for Patrick Mahomes sitting behind Alex Smith for a year. I mean, for God's sake, Aaron Rodgers sit for 3 years behind Favre with the Green Bay Packers. He's Aaron Rodgers. Brady was drafted in 2000. He sit for a year behind Bledsoe. And, that was even an ideal situation. But I'll say this, that my opinion, before I even looked at anything from completion percentage, Pickles, before I look at Pro Football Focus ratings, before I listen to any other NFL expert, former coach, media personality, just by my own 2 eyes, I said, Mac Jones has been the most impressive guy. And then when I looked at and watched the highlights and every throw that Zach Wilson made, I said, this guy from the Jets, he is probably right up there. He is letting the ball go. As soon as he's snapping the ball, Pickles, he's already anticipating the throw as soon as he's going into his 2-step drop, Zach Wilson. And sure enough, Pro Football Focus grades came out Monday. The highest rookie grades, number 1 of the quarterbacks, Zach Wilson, 80.3 rating. Mac Jones, 79.5. And they also talked about ratings of first-round picks. Micah Parsons, 84.7. I saw Micah Parsons before they even played the game. I said, he's got game speed, Pickles. He's got game speed. Micah, the linebacker from the Dallas Cowboys. Patrick Surtain Jr., or Patrick Surtain II, 94.8. And then they put on some other guy named Joe Trayvon from the Bucks. He had a good rating. But Zach Wilson, it's just 1 game, but as I mentioned on the Mac and Jack show with Mac on Sunday, is part of learning the game is the speed of the game. That's the hardest part. You know, as much as everybody likes Justin Fields, I love Justin Fields coming out of college. You know, he had the biggest fantasy day pickles. But a lot of that was running around and one great play call. He did sell that fake and that tight end. Jesse James will never get that open again. You know, Colin Cowherd was going on and on about how great and well coached the Miami Dolphins defense is, and they are, but he shouldn't have made that comment after they got smoked like that in that deep route call to the tight end where there was nobody else in the screen, Pickles, you know. But I'll say this, it part of it from watching from guys, Pickles, that I've watched who became bust, Marcus Mariota, who is this other guy? Jake Locker from Tennessee. Players like that who look, run around, throw, became bust. Those type of guys compared to players like Mac Jones, 13-19, 87 yards, very poised, throwing the ball quickly. Zach Wilson, 6-9, 63 yards, throwing when he's taking a step back. USC had a ton of them. Yeah, that's right, Brian. They sure did. But John David Booty, guys like that everybody, not Palmer, but what's the other guy's name that won a national championship there? They have slow reaction times, slow releases, and all that stuff. But the guys that I really didn't expect to have the big day had the big day. Now, I know that everybody is curious about Trevor Lawrence. My thoughts on Trevor Lawrence, Colt McCoy, Pickles, is he realized now that he's not in the ACC anymore. My impression of him was he's used to that ACC Matt Leinart. Thank you, Brian. Let me put that on the big screen. Yeah, Matt Leinart. I love Trevor. Trevor Lawrence had a rough start. I think he had a fumble. I want to say he had a fumble. He got sacked a couple of times. Cleveland's second stream looks good, Pickles. That tells you how deep their roster is. I'll get into the NFL next week. I cannot wait to get into the NFL. I really like this Cleveland team. But he realized that he is not in the ACC. He can't hold on to that ball 4 and 5 seconds for the big play. He made one great throw down the seam after he got sacked a couple of times. My thing is he's going to have to tighten his stance up. Yeah. Brian said he looks awkward on a couple of passes. He is 6'6". He's playing on a mediocre to bad offensive line. They've got a decent left tackle there in Cam Robertson. He's got to tighten that up. He's got to get rid of that ball quicker. Don't go for pay dirt. Don't get greedy. He has a chance. There's a possibility he could get hurt with his height, Pickles. He's a guy that is, with those two running backs, Urban Meyer's got to look at that game film, and he's got to say, listen, Trevor, we are not in the ACC. You are not playing Boston College. You're going to be playing the Tennessee Titans. You're going to be playing the Ravens at some point. You're going to be playing some really fierce. You're going to be playing against Aaron Donald this year, okay? So you're going to have to get rid of that football, okay? We know you have the vision. You've got the height. You've got the athleticism. But I also can see him taking a low blow and getting hurt out there like Joe Burrow did. So that is a little bit of a concern. I think he's probably going to be okay. But as far as reading the NFL game and getting rid of the football, the two guys that I least thought that would be good this early was Zach Wilson. And, of course, again, Mac Jones. Now, that doesn't mean that the other guys could not be better. Trey Lance has the arm strength. He's raw. He needs to sit behind Garoppolo. Justin Fields, I would love to see Fields sit for a year. Probably not going to happen. You know, they're going to try to get him in there as soon as possible. He might not start the season, but he's probably going to be starting as soon as possible. Now, he's got the good footwork. He's got the speed. He can, you know, he needs a little bit of help on his release as well. Don't quite have the targets. He's got Allen Robertson. He's got a decent tight end, Darnell Mooney. I hope that David Montgomery comes back healthy. I think he'll be okay. But I'll say this, that, you know, the guys, like I said, quick release is what you want to see, speed of the game, okay? Trevor Lawrence, put him a little bit behind, like I said, the other two guys. Okay, what didn't look good? Tua, okay? Tua, he did complete, you know, was it 17-18, but that interception was bad. No touchdowns, threw behind the receiver. I'm 65-45 favoring that he's going to be a bad play, and he's going to end up costing them a playoff spot. They're going to win on running game and defense a lot of games this year, don't get me wrong, but I don't know if they're going to be able to win a game against the New England Patriots. I do not know if they're going to win a game against Buffalo. And judging by Trevor Lawrence, or by the defense has improved by much with the Jets. Quentin Williams back. You know, I don't know about Miami. I'm not as sure of Miami as I was before that game. And Tua is not getting out of the... Listen, you don't have to be... When you hear the term athletic quarterback, when I say you have to be... I don't mean run around the field and make crazy throws like a Aaron Rodgers or run as fast as a Lamar Jackson. You don't even need to be like Ben or even a Josh Allen. Tom Brady can't run hardly at all, but he executes the quarterback sneak to perfection. He knows how to shift in the pocket. Okay. Russell Wilson don't run that much. Russell Wilson pulls back and he shifts in the pocket. Even now Mahomes can run, but you have to be able to shift. You have to be able to elude a pass rusher, make a pivot, and go to your second and third option. And it looks more and more like Tua. The game hasn't slowed down yet. So Tua has already played regular season games, guys, against ones. That was a terrible throw. And that Chicago game was great, by the way. That was a terrible throw. That was behind the receiver. That was mostly against twos, guys. Remember, he was pulled out of the Denver game last year. He was pulled out of the Raiders defense. The lack thereof it in the Raiders defense. He was pulled out of that game last year. And, you know, general manager there, and I think his name is Chris Greer. He worked under a guy. He's got help from a former general manager, Reggie McKenzie, who used to work with the Packers. Excellent eye for talent. Brian Flores, top 5 defense, one of the least penalized teams in the NFL. Flores can coach. But, they had a shot to draft the Trey Lance. They had a shot, possibly. We don't know that. We'll find out later, to get Deshaun Watson. They had a shot to get Matt Stafford. And it looks like that opportunity may be slipping away. And I would hate to see a guy that I'm really taking a liking to, but watching every single game they played last year in Brian Flores, to lose his job because he didn't get the nucleus right, guys. He didn't get it right on Tua. And I'm 65. I'm not 100% out on the guy. But you see the way even Trevor Lawrence looked better than Tua the other day. Zach Wilson. I mean, Mac Jones is making better throws. I know he's come back from that hip injury, but you're watching practice. And remember the reports last year that the players wanted to stay with, they thought Fitzpatrick was a better play than Tua. So that is reason for concern, guys. That is a reason for concern. Now, the Eagles with Jalen Hurts, I'm not sold on Hurts. I don't know what they're thinking up there. I wasn't sold on Hurts at the end of last year. And, Joe Flacco looked good. Now, Flacco is a stick man back there. If you got a good pass rush, you're going to get to Joe Flacco, And I think they're in for a long year, quite frankly. I think that they're going to be right there with Houston. Again, Adam Schefter said this a few weeks ago. Let's not forget there's a guy in Houston that wants to be traded, and they've got the firepower to make it happen. They've got Indianapolis's first round, just say second round pick because we don't know. They've got their first round pick. They've got Indianapolis. I want to say they've got Miami's first round pick, right? So, and of course, their first round pick is going to be really high up there. They could possibly trade all 3 of them, 2 first and 1 second, and possibly get Deshaun Watson. If I'm the general manager and that owner, that's got to be in the back of my mind with Philadelphia. And people are talking about Drew Lock. Okay, Drew Lock was going against backups. And those were easy routes against backups, okay? And Mark Schlereth said they were pretty simple throws. So I wouldn't be too high on Drew Lock. And Denver needs to be that other team that needs to be thinking about Deshaun Watson or an Aaron Rodgers. Denver should, okay? Teddy Bridgewater, I don't care. Teddy Bridgewater would be my starting quarterback. I don't care how Teddy Bridgewater's not going to lose you the game. I know Drew Lock can lose you the game. With that secondary, well, if I'm Watson, but there's a chance this Watson stuff's going to blow off from what I'm reading, Brian. This is all gonna go away eventually, and he's not even on the commissioner's exempt list. This guy led the league in passing yards last year, highest completion percentage, one of the highest QBR ratings. He's 26 years old. Very good cap number this year. The sky's the limit. You can win Super Bowls with this guy. Houston is a total train wreck. They had a coach for a general manager. A change of scenery can do a guy like that good. Yeah, Teddy is point A to point B stopgap guy. But Drew Lock, he better be killing it in practice before he beats a Teddy Bridgewater out. I don't think Bridgewater is all world, but I think he's safer to play than a Drew Lock type of guy. Make sure I'm not missing anybody. So that is my thoughts on these young quarterbacks, everybody. And I just think that you got to be happy if you're the Jets. I mean, Dak Wilson could be the best quarterback if things keep playing out like this and they continue to build this roster up and get him a running game. I mean, this guy could be the best quarterback of my lifetime. Better than Vinny Testaverde. Better than Chad Pennington. Now, Pennington got hurt. He won some playoff games with them. They haven't had a great quarterback in the Jets since Joe Namath in 1968. Houston's terrible. Well, Houston's wanting to get probably Spencer Rattler sweepstakes now, Brian. Which I think they're gonna play well. Good man, you guys are all over Houston. I know Houston's a mess. Okay, Ron Rivera. Making sure. Oh, Jordan Love. Jordan Love had a fumble early. He didn't look bad for all the criticisms he's got. Looks like he's going to be back. I'll say this about Green Bay real quick, and I'll get off the quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers didn't look good. When I saw Aaron Rodgers in practice, when I saw Aaron Rodgers, even after 3 years of sitting behind Brett Favre, I said, this guy, the cow, he holds the ball way too high above his head. He looks like awkward, and the ball comes out of his hands funny. And as those games went on, the first year, he got better and better and better throughout that season. And then at the end of that first year, they got to the playoffs, and he lost a shootout with the Arizona Cardinals against Kurt Warner. And then a couple of years later, the guy wins a Super Bowl. So I'm not totally out on Jordan Love, by the way. He didn't look that bad. He looked like that bad. I mean, my biggest take was the athleticism is there for Fields and Trey Lance, and especially Lance definitely needs a sit. Remember, this guy played one season and one game. He played one game last year. And they're a running team in South Dakota. So anyways, moving right along to Ron Rivera. Okay, Ron Rivera is a guy who I know his heart is in the right place. Ron is, let me make sure, guys, I'm not, okay, I'm about to have my alarm go off here in a minute so I can switch out my podcast. And when this alarm goes off, then I'm going to talk about Ron Rivera. He's a good guy. He's getting through cancer therapy. He's supposedly doing well with that, good enough to continue to work. He's been vaccinated, but I'm going to talk about him in just a second. Let me go ahead and turn this alarm off here. And it's soon, okay, it's 9:21. Here we go. All right. All right, now back to Ron Rivera. Okay. Ron Rivera is pushing the tightrope. Again, two-time coach of the year. I watched the All or Nothing with the care. By the way, if you guys got Amazon, you get bored. Those All or Nothing series are great. The one with Dallas was good. The one with Carolina, the Eagles, very good. They did one with the Michigan football team in college, very good. But he's a good guy. His heart's in the right place, I think. But he's coming out against this vaccine. He's cursing a lot. He's assuming things, and I sense that he's kind of bullying the players into getting it. I think they're the lowest. I want to say they're the lowest vaccine team in the NFL. This is what he said to Albert Brill, Sports Illustrated. He says Generation Z is relying on this, referring to the phone. This is Ron Rivera yesterday, and they got some, quite frankly, bleeping F word with the ing A word holes that are putting in a bunch of misinformation that are leading people to die. This is Ron Rivera. Rivera says, that's frustrating to me that these people are allowed to have a platform in one specific news agency every time they have someone on. I'm not a doctor, but vaccines don't work. I'm not an epidemiologist, but vaccines are going to give you a third nipple or make you sterile. Come on. That should not be allowed. Okay, when he says that news agency comment, he's trying to go with this narrative that the media is putting out there that conservatives and Trump people are anti-vaccine when it's Trump's baby, the vaccine. That's the real facts. And these news agency, Fox News, is what he's trying to say, is pushing this in his head. Let me tell Ron Rivera what the real facts are, okay? The data, Ron, says that 1/3 of people who are black have got the vaccine. 2/3 of people who are black, who are mostly on your team, coach, do not, 2/3 of that population did not have the vaccine, coach. For whatever reason, like I said last week and a week before that, players are talking amongst themselves about side effects, myocarditis, of family members and friends of players who have gotten side effects on the vaccine, coach. They're scared. You are walking a tightrope here. I love Ron Rivera, but he's wrong for saying this. He's wrong for blasting his players for this. You know, for one thing, he's vaccinated. Okay. For another thing, look where you are coaching, Ron Rivera. Look where you are coaching. And by the way, people, 8% of the black population voted for Trump. So that's a myth that he's saying. He's having misinformation. That's a myth. Mostly older people voted for Trump. So those people had the vaccine. Okay. I'm not pro or against, but I don't believe in mandating and pushing stuff down people's throat. Okay. But my point is, Ron Rivera is coaching a team that has a history for 21 years of being dysfunctional. They have a history of players turning against them for contract problems. There was issues with Robert Griffin not trusting those doctors there. Okay. LeVar Arrington said he don't trust anybody, including Daniel Snyder, with the Washington Redskins. Former players do not like this team. This team is coming. This organization has a bad reputation towards the way it's treated former players. It's had a flood of coaches. This owner is one of the worst, considered one of the worst owners in all of the NFL. So if one of those players feels pressured by their head coach to get the vaccine, and he gets that vaccine, and I'm not talking about myocarditis or something more serious. If that player's out for a week and he gets that vaccine, the players could all turn on Ron Rivera. Even the ones who may have the vaccine. The sexual abuse scandal. So he's walking a tightrope. This is not the time to be throwing your players under the bus. Now, I'm saying this. He could blast them. Say, for instance, guys, the NFL has put a rule out this year that if your team gets an outbreak and you can't field the team, they're not going to reschedule it. It's going to forfeit the game, and that, and in a close division like the NFC East, that could cost you the division because of the outbreak. So the players are well aware of that. You've got Terry McLaurin, a fantastic, sensational wide receiver that is coming up for contract here in a few years. You've got an all-world potential defensive player of the year type of player, Chase Young, coming up for contract in a few years. Okay? Rivera, as much as I like Rivera, you don't want to crumble that credibility that you've built this year by going to the playoffs and stuff by calling your players ignorant idiots and forcing them to get this vaccine. He's made comments a couple of days, and I've let it go because he is Ron Rivera, because he is a two-time coach of the year, and it's just not good optics. If this were the Pittsburgh Steelers, the optics wouldn't look as bad because the Pittsburgh is the most respected organization in the NFL, I would say. 3 coaches since 1969. They've got the Rooney Rule. It's a family-like organization. The Washington Redskins are one coach every. They're like the Cleveland Browns before this, this new general manager and coach and stuff. I mean, they're a coach every other year. I mean, they're bringing back old coaches that's still not working. LeVar Arrington said he would never step foot in that stadium again because they publicly humiliated him. This is his words, not mine. They tried to run his reputation, and he blames Daniel Snyder. So I don't know if this is Daniel Snyder doing this or is this Ron himself. I think it's Ron himself because Ron is coming through the cancer treatment, but he's vaccinated, see. I understand about wanting to get guys vaccinated, wanting to move on, but the way he's coming about it, it's essentially calling the players idiots and names who are simply scared, coach, about becoming sterile, about myocarditis, about long-term side effects that we don't know that could affect these young men later on in life because there is no long-term studies done. I mean, even the New York Times put something out, not exactly, a right-wing type of paper, and they put out something else that was interesting about this vaccine, if I can find it. What did they say? Well, it looks like I may have lost it. It's something to do with, I forgot what the headline was. But either way, you guys get my point. I mean, you just can't You can't push the envelope like that, even though it's just, you keep going on and keep going on with something, and it's going to backfire big time. Okay? So there was other news. Moving along, guys. Moving along. Right. Okay, Jamal Adams is a rich man. He was already pretty wealthy. 17 point. Let me look at his numbers real quick. I can see what the hype was about Jamal Adams. He makes more than Justin Simmons of the Denver Broncos. Simmons is 15.25. Seattle paid Jamal Adams $17.5 million a year, a 4-year deal, $70 million, $38 million fully guaranteed, breaking the stalemate of a safety, guys. Okay, now I will say this. Now, Pro Football Focus put out a statistic. Seattle Seahawks defense in 2020 per play. With Jamal Adams, they ranked 9th in the NFL. Without Jamal Adams, they were ranked 20th in the NFL. So I still say that they need pass rushers to go along with them. And I still say that they're going to have to get Dwayne Brown in there and get him extended at left tackle. But so they got him up and paid. You're backed into a corner. You give up 2 first rounds. You give up a safety. Pete Carroll, he's really pushing the envelope, him and that general manager. Another news. This broke later on this afternoon, Pickles. Frank Clark aggravated his hamstring in practice. He will forego an MRI, but with over 3 weeks to recover before the September 12th opener, there's optimism, Tom Pelestrio says, for him to play in week 1. I haven't broke down the week 1 yet, Pickles, but I've already told some of you all. I said that, oh, by the way, Mac and Jack will not have a show Sunday, which means I'm going to get to sleep in. And once I do get to sleep in, I will be going over the NFL this weekend, particularly Sunday. And I'm going to start talking about NFL next week, breaking down some divisions. I may go over the West early and see what happens. So Frank Clark, getting back to the story here, he's aggravated his hamstring. Well, that's the best defensive player, him and Chris Jones, on the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to tell you right now that I think Cleveland plays them in week 1. Cleveland goes up there and beats Kansas City in week 1. Again, it's little stuff like this that catch teams as you go on long runs year after year after year. It's hard. Part of it's luck, Pickles. Part of you have to stay healthy in this league. Not to beat a dead horse, but so I've got new viewers every day, okay? I've got new viewers every day. No team since the salary cap era began in 1994 has ever been to 3 straight Super Bowls. Not the New England Patriots. Buffalo Bills, guys, 1990 to 93. The salary cap implicated in 1994. It was implicated in 1994. No team has been to. I don't have Kansas City going to the Super Bowl this year for that particular reason. You need luck, and teams are targeting you. You got to have a certain core guys that stay healthy throughout the season. You get old, you lose guys on free agency. They've done a good job keeping their players, folks. But All those things have to go into place there for you to get back. And I just don't have them there. I mean, Mahomes may win another MVP. They're rebuilding their offensive line. I think Cleveland's got a better player-for-player roster right now. I think Buffalo could match up pretty well with them now, with the improvements that the Buffalo Bills have made. So anyways, okay, where do I start next, folks? Where do I start next? I'm trying to see. Okay, Tim Tebow. I'm naturally, folks, an introvert. Quiet guy, stay home by myself, not married, you name it. I wasn't necessarily a loner, but I didn't need to have a bunch of people around me all the time. I didn't need to have a girlfriend or be married to be married, you know. I wasn't the person that went to every party and everything. But I'll say this. Networking is good for jobs. Most people get jobs through referral of a friend. You meet your girlfriend, your dream boyfriend, your dream girlfriend. You usually meet them through mutual peers, through networking. You know, I got my job now. Great job, career job. I got this through my mom's ex-husband mentioned it. And, you know, some other family members mentioned it before. So it's not, I just thought, I wasn't on the internet one day and started looking at medical carriers. That's not how I got it. My other job that I worked at 13 years doing security, it was through a friend that told me about it. You know, Urban Meyer was simply bringing in a player that he was familiar with because he knew him as a person. You know, it's good to, in the last 7 years, I've made myself be an extrovert because of the Urban Meyer, Tim Tebow situation. I go to life groups and I go out with friends from work more, women from work, guys from work, church friends more, to help network, right? I network here on Facebook. That's how I met Mac and Jack. I met Linda through networking here on Facebook. I met you guys. So Urban Meyer was simply giving an old employee, an old peer, a colleague, a chance, you know? And the guy hadn't played football in 7 years. He was a long shot. I thought maybe they could use him in the passing game as an H-back. And Travis Pipes, Double Coverage Radio, sent me a message on SportsScope and said maybe somebody else will pick him up. You know, maybe he could be an H-back for New England or somebody. I said, I don't know, possibly. But that's how people were hating on Tebow because he got the opportunity. But how do you hire somebody? I always hire the people I know who's reliable through a reference. Well, who's the reference? Do I trust the reference? Is the reference somebody I know? But sales by trade, yeah. And get out and meet people. The Tim Tebow Urban Meyer thing is he knows that Tebow is all in, but he just wasn't good enough. But that's how he got the shot. That's how you get the shot to get the job you want. You know, network, even if you're you got to do it. It's like jumping in the deep end. You got to learn how to swim eventually, you know, but it's good for you. It's good for me. Met a lot of great women through my friends, networking with some guy friends that I didn't think I would click with, you know, and that's how the Tebow has got his job. Now, odds are he's probably not going to work out, but it's a story about you never know who you're going to meet, when you're going to meet them, what impression you make on a person, a job 10 years from now. You may kill it at a job. A lot of people meet up through college, you know, and recommend each other for the jobs. That's how it happens. So that's why fraternities were so big and popular. a lot of people were in the same fraternity. And one person from the Tennessee chapter may meet a person in the New York chapter. I mean, I read about this all the time in books. But that's all that was. He knew the guy. Nobody else probably would have gave Tim Tebow. They didn't know Tebow. They didn't coach. They didn't win 2 national titles with Tebow in college. But he's a good guy. I mean, but if he don't make it, that's what happened. You know, don't hate. Don't hate on Tebow. God, you know. Before I get into the college football playoff, the NBA guys put out a preview of their Christmas Day game pickles. Now, I'll say this, that between the Nets and the Lakers, I don't know if ESPN can look this up. I didn't have time to look this up, but I think this is the first time regular season basketball, all-star game, that you've got four former MVPs, Pickles, and you know this, on the court at the same time. The Lakers were playing the Nets. We're talking LeBron James, MVP, at one time. Russell Westbrook, MVP. Kevin Durant, MVP at one time. James Harden, MVP at one time. Now, I would imagine the season starts October 19th. You guys know how I feel about that. I wish the basketball season started on Christmas Day and ended in July like it did this year. Look how fast the turnaround we are. It was not a lone-born summer this year because of the NBA season. So I'm looking forward to this. But again, I don't think it's ever been 4 former MVPs on the court at the same time. But I think it'll be great. I'm looking forward to it. I think that I like the Nets. I mean, if the Nets are healthy this year, they win. I think they get it together and they win it all next year. I'm sure they're going to be favored to win it, you know. But I'll say this, that, oh, by the way, Brett Favre says you should be 14 to play tackle football with the concussions. He said this before with CTE. Now, remember, Tom Brady, by the way, he didn't even Tom Brady didn't even play football at high school. Tom Brady. Antonio Gates didn't even play college football. And we're talking about Tim Tebow not playing in a while. So I think that's good for CTE. Kudos to Brett Favre saying that, everybody. I'm trying to look and see. Okay, so I've got my playoff picks here. I want to make one amendment to what I've said about Clemson and Georgia. Clemson and Georgia, that's going to be the biggest game. 2 Saturdays, Pickles. 2 Saturdays from Saturday night, Pickles. The Georgia and LSU is going to play. Or Georgia and Clemson. That's going to be Clemson's toughest game. You know, I was looking at Clemson. Clemson has 9 starters coming back, one number 1 player overall on defense coming back, recruit overall in the country playing for their defense. Their quarterback for Clemson almost beat Notre Dame last year. He's got about 2 or 3 good starts under his belt. I started thinking about it over the weekend. This game is going to be played in Charlotte. Dabo Swinney, 2-time national championship, offensive-minded former wide receiver coaching against Kirby Smart, great recruiter, known to have a vanilla offense. Even though I like this JT Daniels, really, I like him better than any quarterback that's actually played for Kirby Smart. Now, Fields was recruited, but Fields transferred, which was just bad recruiting to retain for Kirby Smart. They should have found a way to retain Fields and let him compete. He's a lot better than Jake Fromm, who later went to the Buffalo Bills. Fromm's just, better, probably a better practice guy, but not a better overall talent. Anyways, I changed my mind on that. I think Clemson's going to win that game. They're favored. It's in Charlotte. Dabo versus Kirby. I want to take Clemson. I think Clemson's going to win that game. I think Clemson's probably going to go. Their schedule, guys, 72nd in the country. I think they're going to go undefeated. They may get challenged in the ACC championship game against possibly another top quarterback. It's going to be, I think it's Sam Howell for North Carolina. I think that possibly they could get challenged in the championship game. I doubt it. I think Clemson's probably going to go undefeated in the regular season. They're going to win that ACC championship game. They're going to get the 1 overall seed. I do not think the other teams that I have coming into the playoffs are to get that number 1 seed, okay? The number 2 seed, I think, is probably going to go to Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech, they're going to beat Alabama this year because they got them at home. But I think they'll lose to a Mississippi State or Ole Miss, somebody like that, maybe an LSU. But they're going to hold that tiebreaker. LSU's got way too hard a schedule. We talked about the schedule for LSU already. But I think they're going to hold that tiebreaker, and they're going to end up beating Alabama to get to the SEC championship game. Now, they have replaced 4 offensive linemen. They've got a 400-meter running quarterback there, and they've got 2 of the best running back duo in the country. This guy, Spiller, I don't know if he's kin to C.J. Spiller, Pickles, but they supposedly got the best running back duo in the country. They got 9 defensive players coming back, and the AP's got them ranked 6th in the country, and according to the AP. So I got them possibly going a 2, possibly 3 seed. I'll lean 2 because they're coming out of a harder conference. Now, the other team I have in the playoff would be Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma loses at Kansas State. That's the only game. I think they got a Heisman Trophy type of player in Spencer Rattler. By the way, I don't feel too crazy about being too high on Oklahoma. The AP's got Oklahoma number 2 in the country behind Alabama, Pickles. Phil Steele has shown the progression of Oklahoma getting better defensively every year since since their new head coach has taken over 4 years ago. Over the last 3 years, guys, name is botched my mind. So I've got Oklahoma getting to the playoff as a 2 or possibly 3 seed. The 4th seed, Alabama. Now remember, back in 2018, guys, 2 SEC teams made it to the college football playoff. So if you're asking me why I'm putting 2 SEC teams in there, it's not unprecedented. That's not true. It is precedented. In 2018, Alabama and Georgia both made it. That was the game that Tua made the game-winning touchdown throw when Jalen Hurts got benched, okay? So I've got Alabama coming in as that 4th seed. They only lose that Texas A&M game, okay? Then with this Bryce Young, the guy's being compared to Russell Wilson, they go on a run, okay? Okay, so Clemson will play, we'll just say Alabama's the 4. Clemson plays Alabama, the 4 seed. Alabama beats Clemson, okay? Oklahoma beats Texas A&M, Hold on. Let me change out my time. All right, now I'm back. Oklahoma beats Texas. Oklahoma, they beat A&M. Oklahoma plays Alabama for the national championship. Okay, Oklahoma beats Alabama for the national championship. So Spencer Rattler and what's this guy's name? Ridley, that head coach there. He's going to be rumored to get a lot of NFL jobs after this. So I think Oklahoma, the number 2 team in the country, wins a national championship. Okay. Others that can win it, of course, Clemson can win it because of their defense. And they got an athletic quarterback and everything. Texas A&M with their quarterback, Jimbo Fisher, Christian Ponder, Jameis Winston, the guy that went to Buffalo a few years ago. All of them were drafted. EJ Manuel? Guy that went to Buffalo. He got all these guys drafted. Jimbo's very good with quarterbacks. He's much better developer of talent than his classes are ranked. You know, we talked about the rankings of their classes. They're the AP number 6 team in the country. They lost 1 game last year, folks. 1 game to Alabama, early at Alabama. This year at Texas A&M, Jimbo's never beat Saban before. The way the schedule's set up for Alabama, with all their lack of offensive players coming back, it's in early October. Texas A&M gets that win over Alabama. They beat Alabama once, okay? And then Alabama, they get to the national championship and they lose. Hey, they've lost before. They lost to Clemson, you know. There's some of those years I couldn't believe Auburn beat Alabama. So Alabama's not unfadable. But Clemson's recruited well. Georgia's recruited well and underachieved. Georgia has as good a chance as anybody to win that national championship. JT Daniels looks better than Jake Fromm. He looks better than this Bennett guy they had last year for them. So very much well. I forgot about Notre Dame. Notre Dame, they're ranked 7th. You know, Brian Kelly, they're always going to run the ball good. They're always going to play defense. I've not looked over their schedule, but I'll say this. I don't think they're going to make the playoff, even if they lose a game. The teams that I just mentioned, they're going to have a stronger and I left out Ohio State guys, okay? Ohio State, they're going to lose one of their first 2 games, okay? They have a very good shot to lose, possibly at Notre Dame or at Nebraska. Wisconsin is one of Phil Steele's comeback teams this year. Wisconsin has a very clean shot to beat them. I think they come up a little bit short. This is a first-year starter, Stroud, by the way. I think that's his name. For Ohio State, they're also a team that they're a little bit iffy at quarterback with the first-year starter, okay? I don't think Ryan Day and this team has quite got what it takes as far as for the committee's going to say. They're going to look at Clemson. Clemson's not going to lose the game. Clemson's going to be undefeated, okay? They're going to look at Oklahoma as one of the best offenses in the country, Spencer Rattler, and this roster that's getting better defensively every single year. Best offensive line in football, I want to say, is what Phil Steele says. They're going to run through everybody. They're going to look at that Kansas State game, and they're going to look at their points per game, and they're going to say, we like Oklahoma better than Ohio State. You know, Ohio State may lose the very first game. They may lose, but Notre Dame, Don't think that they're going to jump. My point is, I don't think they're going to jump a potential Ohio State, and I really don't think they're going to jump a Alabama or an A&M, and they're not going to jump a team that's going undefeated in a Notre Dame and a Clemson team. I totally forgot to break down their schedule, but the strength of these other guys' schedule, I don't see it's going to happen. If for whatever reason A&M it disappoints me or Clemson loses, you probably put Ohio State in there. And a dark horse would be Oregon. Oregon is top 10 every single they've got a quarterback played last year. They've recruited from top 5 to top 8. They're just behind these guys. One of these days, a light bulb's going to go off for Oregon. You know, Oregon's got to play, I want to say, Ohio State in week 2. Okay? They would be another possible sleeper to get into the – and Wisconsin. If Wisconsin loses one in the regular season, and they got a pretty rough schedule, but if they beat Ohio State that last game and say maybe Clemson does slip up against Georgia, then you could put Wisconsin in. But I'm not sure about Penn State. Definitely not going to put a Michigan. I'm not going to put a Florida in there. A lot of people like Texas. Not going to put Texas in there this year. Those teams I named prior to that, it seems like it's going to be the same group in there, except you're going to have maybe an A&M and maybe an Oklahoma actually win this thing this year. But Penn State, don't think they got the quarter. Very rough schedule. Very rough schedule. I recall them having a rough schedule. I mean, you know, and that being said, you got to play the games. Some teams play better. Teams get injured. Notre Dame got in a few years ago. I mean, Brian Kelly's going to have them ready. You know, they got a shot, but I don't think they can win. I don't think they got the recruiting. I don't think they quite got the firepower. If you guys look at Oklahoma, they're getting a little bit better every year. They're getting a little bit tighter on everything. Every single year, they close that gap. You know, remember, they pushed Georgia to 2 overtimes, and that was a bad defensive team in Oklahoma. That team, that Georgia team, went into overtime with Alabama for the national championship. They went to 2 overtimes. And this defense is much better for Oklahoma because they went through another defensive coordinator. So keep that in mind. So I got Oklahoma beating Alabama for the national championship. And that's it, guys. We are over an hour in. Thursday, I will be back on. Not sure what I want to talk about Thursday. Probably training camp stuff. Probably talk a little bit more Hard Knocks. That'll be coming on. If you guys like the show, please share the show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the podcast on Spotify. You can listen to the show, get out of your car, make some errands, get back in your car. If your Bluetooth's on through your phone, you turn your media on, you'll come right back to Sports Scope wherever I left off, okay? If you want to contribute to the program, go to the ZELLE app. And my email is the word sports, the word SKOPE at gmail.com. And contribute to the program that way. I'll be back Thursday. I'm going to go watch a little bit of Hard Knocks tonight, watch some more tomorrow night. I may even talk a little bit of NFL Thursday as far as breaking down the division. If I do, it'll be one of the easy. It won't be the West because the West is going to take hours and hours and hours to decipher. I'm talking about the NFC West. It's wide open. I like the 49ers. But the NFC West is going to be tough, man. You know, I mean, with the right break, Seattle come down to 1 game 2 years ago. I got thinking about this the other day, Brian. It came down to 1 game 2 years ago where they could have had the 2 seed, and knocked the Frisco team that got to the Super Bowl down to a wild card, you know? So that's something I've got to consider. But that Seattle team had a better pass rush. They had a healthy Jadeveon Clowney. This one don't. They've got Jamal Adams, who brings them from 20th to 9th, according to Pro Football Focus, in overall defense. But then you've got Arizona with their pass rush. And, you know, the Rams did have the number 1 defense in the league last year. But they're thin, guys. They don't have a lot of depth. So that says a lot. I'm pretty confident in the 49ers, but that's going to be a game by game. You know, it's not going to be what I'm going to talk about Thursday, if I even have time to get into the NFL Thursday. So have a good night, everybody. I will see you Thursday around 9 p.m. Central Time here on Sports Scope. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.